Greetings. How is everybody today? It is week 3, and there's a lot going on. As always, I'm Bob Harris, senior editor of footballdiehards.com. Here to chat with you. We'll talk it up. You can ask me questions, lineups, injuries. I see trade questions in there. Hello, Scott Covey. Hello, Mr. Scampers. Great to see my friends here. Appreciated your comment the other day, Mr. Scampers. I might even call you Scampers at some point. You never know. Because I feel like you're my friend. Like, I see you everywhere. You're like everywhere, Mr. Scampers. Every live stream I go to, you're there. I'm starting to wonder, how are you at every single live stream? Every single one. You're like at 30 computers up at the same time. It's amazing. Hello, Patrick. Thank you for coming. We'll give people a minute to get here. Some top stories this week. I'll go ahead and run down some of the things we'll be watching. Of course, Trey Lance season-ending injury means Jimmy Garoppolo starts for the 49ers. Justin Herbert, day-to-day, looks like he's likely to play. Keenan Allen back on track as well, so expect that. He is throwing, wear a flak jacket. Lamar Jackson turned up with a sore arm today, did not throw at all to open the week of practice, so that's worth noting. John Harbaugh's come out and said he will play, but never good when you're in week 3 and the arm is sore and you're a little tired and everything. So J.K. Dobbins worked fully. He worked fully all last week, and we didn't see him, so hopefully he gets in the mix soon. Seems to be trending in a good direction. Mike Evans, he ain't going to play. He was suspended for shoving Marshawn Lattimore in the back, appealed the suspension. The appeal was denied, so he will not play. And everybody's hurt in Tampa Bay. Every damn player. Leonard Fournette, Russell Gage, Julio Jones, Chris Godwin, Scotty Miller, Rashad Perriman. Cole Beasley's not hurt, but he's on the practice squad to be promoted. Alvin Kamara, Jameis Winston, both limited to open the week. Seems like Kamara's likely to play, and I think Jameis Winston will continue to play. James Conner, day-to-day, looks like he'll be fine to go by the time the week's on. He worked a little bit today, so George Kittle also heading in a good direction as well. As all of you are. Look, it's week 3. You're all 2-0, right? Everybody is 2-0, and or not. I'm not 2-0 in every league. Like, it's hard this time of year, right? We're trying to figure out who our studs are. If you look at the top of the ADP list, you draft Jonathan Taylor. Are you happy with him? Christian McCaffrey. You really happy with that? Austin Eckler. Are you happy with Austin Eckler? Are you happy with Najee Harris? Are you happy with Joe Mixon? There's a series of players that we wish would be doing better. And at some point it'll normalize. I know it seems like all is lost at any given point. All is not lost. Breathe, everybody. It'll be great. Mr. Scampers is not 0-2. I don't believe that. Don't believe that. All right, so I'll get into the questions. Once again, I do this every Wednesday night. We're going to kind of morph this show in a couple weeks into something a little different. Saturdays, I'm always here at noon Eastern time to do a live stream. I'll answer all your questions. We have Saturday night, 9 p.m., Jamie Calandro and Eric Romoff doing our DFS lineup show. It's great stuff. Got all the lineup and all the ownership percentages updated and everything lined up and ready for you to go. You can also hear me on SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio Monday at 10, Thursday at 10, Friday at 10, Monday and Thursday until 1, Friday until midnight. Then Saturday night, we go to NFL Radio, but it's simulcast on the Fantasy Channel. So we got you loaded 3 hours on Saturday night, and I do the 2-hour pregame show with Jeff Manns on SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio. So a lot going on. The Football Diehards website, if you're not familiar with it, you should go check it out. It's got great stuff there right now. The flash update, week 3 is up and running. My team notes are up. It's a great way to start your week, kind of set the tone for everything and give you a good level bit of information to get the baseline of information to get things started. Plenty of other articles and tools. Go on Tuesday to get the waiver wire information. Go on Monday to get the early injury report. Something for you every day. Tons of video content as well as tools and everything you need to succeed. So let's get into the questions. I know you're dying. Marcus Farmer would like to know. By the way, hit the subscribe button. It's right there. Hit it right now. I want to see you hit it. Thank you. And hit the notification bell. I don't know if it even works for me. And the like button. If you like me, if you dislike me, you may hit the dislike button. It won't hurt my feelings. I'm used to being disliked. Marcus Farmer wants to know Tua and Julio for Russell Wilson and Dallas Goedert. Who wins the trade? You asked me that question week 18, and I'll let you know. Right now, I'd probably want the Tua and Julio side. Look, so something interesting I thought about early this week, and I think it's true. Right? This is the kind of situation where you go back to what we thought in May, right? And June. And we thought Tua was going to be a lot better. Do we know how much better? Is he going to be as better as he was this week every week? No. But with those weapons around him and an innovative offensive mind, there was some reason to believe that Tua Tagovailoa was going to have a breakout season, right? And or he was going to fail miserably, and the value of Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle and everybody associated with him would crater. Well, I put a little faith in Mike McDaniels because he is a pretty sharp offensive mind. On the other side, we had Nathaniel Hackett, also a pretty sharp offensive mind. Russell Wilson, a proven commodity, but a guy who for a couple of years seems to have struggled. Was it because they didn't let Russ cook, or did they not let Russ cook, Pete Carroll being they, because when Russ cooks, he sometimes burns the dinner, right? And so I think this is a pretty even trade, honestly. I think Tua's, we'll see. Russell Wilson, I think by the end of the season is going to be fine. Probably as I look at this soberly and say at the end of the season, I would think I'd rather have the Russell Wilson-Dallas Goedert side, just because I think Dallas Goedert is going to play a full year and be pretty productive in an explosive Eagles offense. And maybe Russ and Tua are fairly even, but Russ needs to pick up the pace. It's been a horrible 2 weeks. Nathaniel Hackett has struggled, not just as a tactician and a clock manager and all those things, but also as a play caller. It hasn't been great. So we'll see. Jerry Jeudy, probably not, doesn't seem likely to play this week. I don't know. Doesn't look like it's going good. He's not practicing to open the week. KJ Hamler, so they might be down some weapons. But Cortland Sutton picked up the pace nicely, so like what I've seen there. I think this, I think it would be hard to proclaim a winner. I think at the end of the season, if it was pretty even, that would be probably the most likely outcome. Dameon Pierce or DJ Moore this week in the flex. So I hate to give up on DJ Moore, but I don't think I'm giving up on him when I have a running back who's getting all the volume, right? That's the key for me is am I getting the volume? And so just want to double check some numbers. The last week was 16 carries. The thing that appealed to me about Pierce last week was there was no Rex Burkhead carries, right? That's the good news there. Chicago not scaring anybody here. Yeah, I'm probably going to go Dameon Pierce in this one. Lovie Smith talked about a little bit today that he feels like he needs to keep Pierce going and give him a little more work, and I'm all about that. And so if he gets the workload, the encouraging thing for me, this is a team that last year ran for 3.4 yards a carry. It was horrible. First 2 weeks of the season, it was even less. Or first week of the season. Yesterday, Sunday, hell, it's the middle of the week. Who am I talking about? That tells you how fast the week goes for me. Sunday, Pierce averaged 4.6 yards a carry. That's a big jump. So I like it. I'm going Dameon Pierce this week. I think DJ Moore is going to be a fine play. He got the touchdown last week. If he hadn't got the touchdown, how would you feel about it? Ugh. So I want to see better usage for him, right? That's the thing. Got the usage up for McCaffrey. Let's get it up for more. Trey S. wants to know full PPR flex, Kareem Hunt, A-Rob, ETN, or Devonta Smith. Thanks. I'm tempted to go Kareem Hunt in this one. I'm kind of off ETN. I think there's big games waiting for him. There's big plays to come. But make no mistake, man, James Robinson is back and is the tip of this spear of this offense, so to speak. And there are some other weapons in the passing attack. I think ETN could have big games. I'm probably going to lean towards Hunt in this one. Love what Devonta Smith did last week. Wouldn't talk you out of A-Rob, right? I mean, I could think of worse things. Arizona, maybe a bit of a shootout with the Rams. Those games tend to be high scoring. So I'm going to say Hunt, but I wouldn't talk you out of A-Rob. I do like Devonta Smith too. Would you play D. Johnson on Thursday or wait for Pittman and G. Davis? I also have Min Brown and DJ Moore. By the way, let me do this because, man, I had issues with it Saturday. And I appreciate this. First name, last name helps me. If you want to put in the opponent, helps me process quicker so I can get to more questions. Very helpful. I mean, I know most of them, but it's helpful. And sometimes the first name, I just draw a blank, right? There are a lot of guys named like Davis was the one last week. It was Gabe Davis. I should have known that, but I didn't. So Deontay Johnson, I do know on Thursday. So I do think, and Gabe Davis in this case. So I'd probably be fine playing Deontay Johnson. He's been getting a 30% target share. I think that's fine for him. I think he'll end up making some plays. A lot of talk this week about Mitchell Trubisky wanting to throw the ball further down the field. He's averaging like 5.1 yards and a completion. It's not good, right? And it hasn't been good. So they know they need to pick up the pace. The onus is on them. They want to get George Pickens more involved too. But thinking Deontay Johnson is going to be heavily targeted, I'd be fine playing that. I'd rather wait for Pittman, and I think Pittman's going to play. So, there's that. He was on the practice field today. So, and I guess you're already starting Marquise Brown and DJ Moore, so that's fine. And I'd lay off Gabe Davis at least for another week. I think he's going to play, though, too. So, I mean, I think, let's put it this way. If you have concerns about Deontay Johnson and you think that 30% target share is not going to serve him well, and it might not, right? I mean, but it's the Browns. Look what they did for Garrett Wilson, right? So I'm not saying that everybody is Garrett Wilson or every game is the same. I just want to look. 10 targets last week, 6 catches, 57 yards, 9.5 yards a catch. It's not like pristine. I'd probably wait and get one of those other two, and until I see the Pittsburgh offense get together. But you're taking a little bit of a chance. How's that? Not without knowing, but you do have some other pivots, it seems. So I think out of those two, one of them will play. Dominic Conti, Mooney, Devontae Smith, Gage, pick one, full PPR. I'm not playing Mooney until I see Justin Fields throw what was it, 11 attempts? Come on, people. That's not enough passing. Completed 7 of them. Good for him. Yeah, Darnell Mooney's a bit of somewhere out there. Matt Donnelly is shaking his fist. It makes his mustache almost fall off. I'll play Devontae Smith in this one. I think Gage might be a good play. He's not totally healthy, so I'm picking between two guys. I think Smith, just in that offense, maybe has a little more upside than Gage, so I'm going to go ahead and pick Smith. Oh, Mr. Scamper's 0-2. I have so many of those. So many 0-2s. It's horrible. Defensive teams, San Francisco, Philly, or Houston. San Francisco's playing Seattle. Or no, San Francisco. So, see, this is where it would help to have, if you just threw in the opponents. I'll look it up. It's not that big a deal. San Francisco's playing Denver. Philly's playing Washington. There's some big. So here's the thing: what I do with defenses, I usually pick on a quarterback as long as that unit has disruptive playmaking talent, right? I think San Francisco has the most disruptive playmaking talent. I don't know if that's the best quarterback to pick on, but that's probably the direction I'm going. Probably not Houston though, even if they're got the best circumstance. I'm just not keen on Houston's defense. Manage a trade for Pittman and R. White for Juju and D. Henderson in your dynasty league. That's a win, right? I mean, yes. Cousins or Carr this week. So I want to think Cousins has a big rebound week, and I'm going to play him. It's Detroit, even if Detroit is kicking their ass with their offense. And that is a fantastic offense. This is another unit that we talked about heading into the season. This offense is going to be better, right? Just because of the playmakers around them. And I didn't even think Amon-Ra St. Brown was going to be the sun god. Was going to go all ham once again, and here he is going ham once again. 8 straight games of at least 8 catches. That's pretty impressive dating back to last season. I like Cousins here and a little bit of a rebound for this offense. So, and I'm not against Carr. I think they're both starting level quarterbacks for me, but Cousins is ahead of him. If you could still high on Aaron Jones, who would you target? I'm thinking maybe Cook. If you could still high on Aaron Jones. So are you talking about a trade? Let me see. Another trade? I mean, I think Aaron Jones is going to be very good, right? So, and I think Dalvin Cook's going to be very good. So I don't understand the question, CTQAP, on that one. Clarify, please. I'm not that smart, people. Give me a break. Again, I'm Bob Harris, in case you didn't know. FootballDiehards.com, senior editor. You hear me on Sirius XM Fantasy Sports Radio and NFL Radio, and here on the YouTube channel every Wednesday, 7 p.m. Eastern, every Saturday at noontime Eastern. Noontime Eastern will be the Ask Me Anythings going forward. We're going to do this program's going to change a little bit on Wednesday night. We're going to bring in some guests, have some fun. You're going to love it or hate it and not come back. No, you'll love it. Let's see. Wilson or Tua, Corey Bishop wants to know. So I don't want to get too far over my skis. I'm probably still playing. It's Buffalo's defense. I mean, that's the concern, right? Buffalo has crushed everybody. They've allowed 2 really good offenses to score a combined 17 points. I want to play Tua. I'm probably playing Wilson. Do you have faith, Corey? That's the question. I mean, do you think that this is the week that an offense is going to show up against the Bills? Because I just wanted to double check that number. I have it somewhere right closely in front of me. 17 points. Rams and Titans. 2 high-end, supposedly, teams and offenses. 17 points. I think the Bills are good. Now, granted, the Bills did come out of there with some injury issues on defense. So, look at my new glasses, turn blue. I got the blue blocker glasses. They make my eyes all blue. Is that cool? Is it scaring anybody? I'm not trying to scare anybody. All right, so I'm probably playing Wilson, and maybe you take a little judgment as we get into the week and see if some of those secondary players are all playing for Buffalo, and maybe that changes the dynamic a little bit. Do the Buccaneers have anybody besides Russell Gage as pass catchers available? I'm the Fantasy Blue Man crew. So that's Emo says that. So yes, I mean, well, first of all, Russell Gage is not healthy, and I don't know that he's available. I mean, I think he's available. I think Perriman will probably be available. I think Julio may make it back this week, but no, the general answer is no. So I'd be starting a lot of guys over Tom Brady probably this week. DJ D-Max, great weekend of football. Yeah, says you. You probably won your damn games. Not all of us did. Chiefs or Chargers. I have the Browns to give up. I'm benching the Bills 2-0. Chiefs or Chargers. I guess that's a defense question. Probably going to play. I like both those matchups for defenses. If I'm being honest. Let me just check the ranks and see what my initial ranks say. I mean, I'm leaning towards the Chargers just in general because I think it's a very good defense. But the Chiefs have been playing pretty good. Yeah, I'm going to go with the Chargers on that one. As I look at things, it's early in the week. I have to look at things. CT. So yeah, I have the Browns to give up benching. Yeah, I would. I mean, I guess you mean by give up, you mean let go or drop or whatever. Help me out with these questions, people. Again, I'm not bright. This is not easy. It's rocket science, and I'm like a hack. Yes, I am. It's been a great start. Pierce, Etienne, Wilson, or Edmonds. Like, I'm kind of keen on Jeff Wilson a little bit, and I think I think this is not a horrible matchup for him. It's between Pierce and Wilson for me. I'm probably leaning Wilson, but let me just double check and see what the algorithm says and see if it agrees with me. It does. I'm going Wilson in this one. I like the carry total last week, and I think came close to scoring once. Kyle Juszczyk ended up getting that score, so I'm going to go in that direction. What's going on with Terry McLaurin? I'll tell you what's going on with Terry McLaurin. Curtis Samuel and Jahan Dotson are going on. They're both getting schemed into this offense. I mean, if you look at the touchdowns Dotson scored, especially week one, those were scheme specific, targeted him specifically in the end zone. Curtis Samuel, they're manufactured a role for him, and this should not be a surprise. The only surprise is Curtis Samuel is healthy enough to execute it, if there are any surprises here. And here's the thing. Go back to the time Curtis Samuel in Carolina with this same coaching staff, very productive as both a rusher and receiver, right? They bring him in, and this was the desired outcome last year. They've got him there this year. They're going to continue manufacturing touches for him. I think when all is said and done, this will be a bigger knock on J.D. McKissic, who had a good game last week, had the 7 targets, so it was not horrible. But I think, when all is said and done, that Curtis Samuel is going to be more of a limiting factor on that, kind of role player. But he's going to continue being a thing. But Terry McLaurin's going to have his weeks. But all three of those guys are viable plays at this point. Full PPR, Henderson, Michael Carter, or Kareem Hunt. Pick one. Is it just me, or is it look, Henderson was better with his carries than Akers was last week. But I feel like there's momentum growing for Akers. I just feel, the gut feeling. I thought, I think Henderson's still a fine play. And again, it's a good matchup this week against Atlanta. Michael Carter seems to be locked in as the league. I'm told he's the heartbeat of that offense by the offensive coordinator. I didn't believe him when he told me that, but now I kind of do. Because especially after last week, if you did not notice, Ty Johnson got in the mix and so Breece Hall was a viable play after week one based on the targets he was getting. Had great target share. Had only 1 target in this game. He turned it into a touchdown. Kudos to him. But Ty Johnson was on the field a hell of a lot, and Breece Hall was not on as much. So a bit of a concern. So I'm probably going Henderson here. Going to double check. Yeah, we rank him 27 and 28 going into the week. So I'm going to go Henderson. Wouldn't talk you out of Carter. How's that? How about them apples? And Hunt would be the trailing guy. Look, I mean, I think Hunt could have huge weeks as we saw week one. He can vanish as we saw kind of week two. So you're going to kind of be in that situation. But you might be in that situation with all these guys. So just rather not play the Pittsburgh defense this week, even without TJ Watt. Travis Unlimited. Should I trade my Michael Thomas for Gabe Davis? I love Michael Thomas. I think you paid less for Thomas. So if you're a believer in Gabriel Davis, and I'm not a disbeliever, I'm more a believer in Thomas at the price I bought him. And so I want to carry that over and enjoy the great discount, the great pick I made in my draft. And I thought Gabe Davis was overpriced all summer. And I think he's probably going to end up proving me wrong because this offense is phenomenal. So, I get it. If you want a piece of the Josh Allen experience, go ahead and do it. You're paying a lesser commodity for a greater commodity. If someone's willing to do that, sure. It would be interesting to do a mock right now. Graham, hi, Bob. I have the Browns defense special teams versus Pittsburgh. Concerned they're a bit overrated. They are. Is KC better play versus Colts? They are. The Bears versus Houston are not, I don't think. The Panthers versus Saints, maybe. I'd probably go with the KC versus Colts. Defensive question. Rams defense at Arizona or Cincinnati at the Jets? Probably going to play the Rams defense. I think this is not unreasonable. I'd rather, I don't think the Jets last week is like the Jets every week. I just don't. I don't think last week Joe Flacco is every week Joe Flacco. But it's possible. Yeah, I'm probably playing the Rams, though, just in general. Tua or Rodgers this week? Rodgers is somehow able to cobble things together. He's crafty like that. It's the Tampa Bay defense, though, so it's pretty close. Probably slightly. Neither guy has a super great matchup, right? I'm going to probably go Tua in this one just because I like his weapons better. Like in Rodgers, so by the way, Sammy Watkins is limited today. Christian Watson limited today with a hamstring. He was very fast in that game. Alan Lazard limited again to start the week. I mean, for crying out loud. So, yeah, I'm probably going to go Tua over Rodgers in this one. You're welcome, Marcus. Thank you for coming. Hi, Andrea. Thank you for coming. Graham F. I lost a question. I have to go back up. Oh, my gosh. I got a lot of questions. Graham F. Half-point PPR. Which 2 out of Bateman, Curtis Samuel, D. Pearson, Juju. This is going to fill out the flex and wide receiver 3. I'm leaning towards sitting Juju. I'm not against that. I think I would go the same damn way. Juju seems like he's going to be up or down. We should have believed Patrick Mahomes when he told us you're never going to know which guy it's going to be. I'm going to believe Patrick Mahomes. And I have a little more faith in Pierce right now than I did. Curtis Samuel, I think, is a guy I want to get into lineups. And I think Bateman is the guy that kind of thought going into the season there's going to be 2 guys receiving assets in this offense you can count on any given week. It's going to be Bateman and Andrews. Andrews and Bateman, probably in that order, more so. But, yeah, I'm with you. That's it. Trade Aaron Jones for someone like Mixon or Cook. Looking to sell high on Jones if I can. His interview with Rodgers after that game was amazing. Right, I think he's going to have a pretty good season. I mean, so my problem with Mixon is he gets huge volume and gets pretty uninspiring results with it. In general, right? I mean, unless he gets the touchdowns. I think you'd have better. I'd feel better about Cook. And I know Kevin O'Connell saying today they need to get Cook more involved. Of course they need to get Cook more involved, just like the Packers need to get Aaron Jones more involved last week. So, I'm not against it. I mean, you're kind of moving up in terms of draft value. Kind of rearranging the deck furniture to me. I think Aaron Jones is going to have a pretty good season. So, but if you're looking to do it, sure. I think either of those guys are fair targets. I'd prefer Cook. Mr. Scampers, half-point PPR, Juju, Kenneth Walker, or Garrett Wilson. Do we trust Garrett Wilson, Mr. Scampers? I do not know. I'd probably rather play him than the other 2. So I saw the Seattle, Pete Carroll wants to run the ball more. It was what, a 6-4. They had 10 carries, 6-4 split. If you doubled that up, I don't even know, so let's say they double the carries and they keep the same split and I get 8 carries from Walker. Not enthusiastic. I'm probably playing the Garrett Wilson for the upside. I don't expect last week, though, honestly. I mean, I think that may have been an anomaly, but it's in him, right? It's like not outside the realm of possibility. I'm going to go with that. Monique, with Mike Evans out, can I start Julio or Gage in his place? If either of them are playing, I would rather play Devontae Smith probably at this point. Just like if you have a choice between a handful of guys, right? And Renfro, by the way, did not practice today. He's got the concussion. In case you do not know, and I'm sure all of you do, you're savvy football peoples. But for the few who don't know, the concussion protocol, you have to start out and do some physical exertion. Then they test you, and then you're allowed to do more physical exertion. Then they test you again. Then you get final clearance. When you start out not practicing on Wednesday, you're kind of behind the 8 ball on that process, and it is a process. So maybe he's, and you have to be symptom-free each day. And so that's part of it as well. So we'll see. So I don't think, I'm counting on him. I probably played Devontae over those guys, just knowing that he's healthy. And it's kind of been a mixed bag. I get it. It's been a mixed bag. Wasn't great week 1. It was all A.J. Brown. Last week, it was not all A.J. Brown. And maybe going forward, they can they can change that dynamic a little bit. I thought it was a pretty good game for Smith. Caught all 7 of his targets for 80 yards. So here we're going into a game. Do you go into a game with a guy that's fully healthy, playing a secondary role, or do you go in with a guy who's maybe not totally healthy in an offense that's not totally all healthy? I'm probably going with Devontae Smith in that one. Tom Brady or Jared Goff. Are you going to make me pick Jared Goff over Tom Brady, Andrea? Is that what you're trying to do? I'm going to see how far our rankings are off on this. So we have Brady at 14, Goff at 16. I'd probably rather play Goff, right? Just as things stand right now, just knowing he has all his weapons and knowing it's been a pretty good run. This is a gut thing, though. It's kind of a you thing. Since they're both outside our top tier, our top 12 starters, I think, they're both fair game. Maybe we wait until a little later in the week, Andrea. Maybe you hit me up again Saturday. If I was to decide today, I'd say Goff. Scott Kobe wants to know how worried I am about Derrick Henry. Well, as a heavy investor, I'm damn worried. But it's week 2. I'm not I'm not like in panic mode about anything, right? There's a lot of, there's 16 weeks of the football left, right? So by the time all is said and done, I expect a lot of these guys who aren't what they are to start the season to be that thing. In the meantime, we have to figure out how we can play them or whether we should play them. I think in Henry's case, the concerning thing for me was not the 1.9 yards per carry. It was just the 13 attempts. It was a weird game. It was a blowout. I'll probably throw that out the window. I'll think the week 1 20-plus workload was more in line with what we'll see. And if he keeps getting that, I think he's going to be just fine. So I'm worried, but not crazy worried. Dame Overlord with Schultz questionable for Monday. Might have to play Austin Hooper versus Las Vegas, Cole Kmet versus Houston, or Brevin Jordan versus Chicago. I'm going to lean Kmet, but I don't feel really good about any of that, right? The problem with Brevin Jordan is he's a 3-man committee. Don't make me play Austin Hooper. You're going to hurt my feelings. I have to look at some things before I go that far. That seems like a reach even for me. 4 targets last game. Just caught one of them. It was a blowout game. Boy, I just don't have a lot of faith in the Bears' passing attack. A passing attack that's coming off an 11 attempt a week. 7 completions, for crying out loud. I don't know how you play any of those guys until you see it, unless you look at this list. Brevin Jordan had, 4 targets, I want to say, at Chicago. And maybe Brevin Jordan's the answer. The problem for me with the Houston tight ends is there's 3 of them that are all possible. So, Dame. Who's on your waiver wire? I'm guessing nobody if that's what we're talking about. So if you made me pick between these 3, it'd probably be Kmet. But, I'm just basing that on talent and hope. Right? I don't have any, strong feeling that this is going to work out well for me. Double checking the ranks here. Hooper we have after him. Jordan we have, yeah. So I'm going to go Kmet, but none of them are desirable plays. But you know that, right? All right, Serve 5. Thoughts on Mariota against the Seahawks? I'm not anti-Mariota. I think he has some pieces around him. He tends to cobble together. Maybe he can get Kyle Pitts involved a little bit at some point. I don't think you should expect high-end production, but I think the thing that you can like about Marcus Mariota and feel comfortable with, any given week, is he's got the rushing ability, right? He's brings you that equity. I think on the season, the scoring value. I want to just look it up here, so I'm not making up lies. Right, he's a top 12 quarterback after 2 games. So, I don't think that's where he's going to end up, but I think right now he's more than serviceable, and against the Seahawks, maybe more so. Sell high, spelling mistake, I know. I got you. Going ham. Hey, Bob, what's your thoughts on starting a wide receiver 2 over quarterback 2 in a super flex spot, and generally, especially where your quarterbacks are failing you? Boy, it's hard for me to sit a guy who has the ball in his hands every play over a guy who's going to get maybe let's say on a super high end 10 opportunities, right? And that's the decision point, right? If your quarterbacks are disappointing, I get it, but at least they're getting chances. Are you sure your wide receiver 2 is going to get those chances? Depending on what team he has, look at Green Bay. 4 targets is the most anybody got, right? So, and I mentioned Devontae Smith. Maybe you get up into that, up close to the double digits at some point, but even still, your quarterback's going to have the ball in his hands. I'd be hard-pressed. It would have to be a horrible quarterback. Name names, going ham. Name names, Rick Bruceus. PPR starts Jamal Williams versus Minnesota or Dameon Pierce versus Chicago. I'll start Dameon Pierce unless something happens to DeAndre Swift, who is, by the way, resting his ankle again today. He should be fine. Should I trade Devontae Adams, Josh Jacobs, and James Robinson to get Saquon, Barkley, Christian Kirk, and Montgomery? I would not do that, but if you like those latter three better, I mean, I like Saquon fine. I love Christian Kirk. He's never going to be Devontae Adams. So let's work through it. Saquon's going to be better than Josh Jacobs. Devontae Adams is going to be better than Christian Kirk by some degree. Montgomery, I have more faith in than most, but I think James Robinson's a great play through too, so I'm going to call that a wash. I think you're losing the high end here at wide receiver because I think it's ultra high. I think Saquon Barkley is, great volume. I think we saw great production week 1. We saw lesser production this past week. I think it's going to kind of be a little bit up or down over him. And yet, I know what you're going to say to me, JJ McVay, that it wasn't great for Adams either. So, right? So, and I think that's true. So, I think this is a fairly even trade. If you feel like it's the trade you want to make, I would not veto it for you. C-Key. I don't know how to say that. Trade Chubb for Hill. I'm guessing that's Tyreek Hill? You can get Tyreek Hill for Nick Chubb? I'm sure. Is that what you mean? Hey, who's trading Tyreek Hill right now? I mean, I think that's like, I'd be asking you for 8 players for Tyreek Hill after that last game. So I must be missing something. Clarify for me if I'm missing something. Dalvin Cook and Johnson for CD and Connor. Thoughts? Cook and Johnson. I'm going to go ahead and guess it's Deontay Johnson. Pretty common name, Cole. Help me out now. So Dalvin Cook and Deontay Johnson. For CD and Connor. I mean, I'd do that if it's Deontay Johnson. So I'd probably do that. Dalvin Cook and Deontay Johnson for CD and Connor. I have a lot of faith in Connor, maybe more than most. He finishes a top 10 back. I know he's already nicked up, but it doesn't seem bad. And yes, Chargers. Yes, Browns drop. Yep, that's it. You got it, man. Thank you, Patrick. Sandra Lenahan. Half-point PPR. Is Rashad Penny and Rashad White worth keeping on the bench? Free agents include Singletary, Naheem Hines, Mark Ingram are options. I mean, I think Ingram has a shelf life and it kind of expires right when Alvin Kamara comes back. But I thought he looked really good, right? Singletary is hard to play. I mean, Penny to me is worth keeping. Rashad White, if I had Leonard Fournette, I'd definitely keep him. But I don't know if I don't know if any of these guys are going to make your starting lineup. If you're looking for a high floor play or a reasonable floor play, I think Hines might be it on any given week. So I might go with him over Rashad White if I don't have Leonard Fournette. I have Singletary. Should I drop Penny? I have to find the question. I will scroll better. Have Singletary. It's T. Banyas. I have Singletary. Should I drop Penny and pick up James Cook off waivers? No, don't do that. I mean, I think James Cook is going to be at some point a contributor. He's not there now. The only reason he did last week is because it was garbage time. Had the fumble in week 1. It's going to be hard to know which of these backs to play any given week. I think it's going to be very difficult. So you're kind of taking your chances there a little bit. And I would not do that. Mr. Scampers, he's going to go against his gut and play Najee against Cleveland tomorrow. Half-point PPR needs 2. Jeff Wilson, Juju, Curtis Samuel versus Philadelphia. I want to play Curtis Samuel so bad I'll almost play him over Jeff Wilson. I'm still playing Wilson, but I think that's the decision point for me, Scampers. And that's a tough call. I mean, I think I think Samuel's role is real. Do I think he's going to score a touchdown every damn game? Probably not. Right? But so far he has, right? So, and that's why I'm so dying to play him. I'd play either of those guys over Juju, though, easily. And probably lean towards Wilson if I'm playing it safe. Like if you're looking at your opponent, you say, "Man, I need a swing for the fence play." It's probably more likely Samuel. Should I receive Deontay Johnson and get rid of Curtis Samuel and Edmonds? 2 for 1. I'm probably not doing that one until I see more from this offense. Look, I think Deontay Johnson is going to be very good, right? I think both of those other players might be reasonably good. Edmonds seems like even if he's just a receiving role, could have some value as this offense kind of coalesces. Who's hating Hunt? Don't hate anybody. Should I drop Schultz for Logan Thomas? Don't have any bench spots available. Yep. I'm sorry, Chubb. Who's hating Chubb? Not hating anybody. Burrow or Tua this week? Lockett or Jacoby Myers? Burrow or Tua? So it's been not good for Burrow, right? I mean, it's been the slow start. The offensive line's not playing well. Lyle Collins beat up a little bit. I like his matchup a hell of a lot more, though. So I'm probably giving Burrow another shot. But like, I'm not telling anyone not to play Tua, right? I'm playing Burrow. So T-Banyas, 1 point PPR. Yeah, that doesn't change my mind at all, T-Banyas. And by the way, the Lockett or Jacoby Myers. Myers is beat up. He's got a little bit of a knee issue. The difference between those two to me, Pat, is Lockett is going to be boom bust. Last week was a boom. Is it going to be a bust? Or are they going to throw the ball downfield a little more, trying to get DK Metcalf more involved? Jacoby Myers seems like the steady Eddie of wide receivers if he's playing for me. So I'd be fine playing him. And thank you for listening, T-Banyas. And that didn't change anything. HPPR Patterson at Seattle or A.J. Dillon at Tampa Bay. It's hard for me not to play A.J. Dillon. I love him a lot, but the matchup probably says Patterson. The workload wasn't great for Patterson, right? I didn't think. I'm going to probably give a slight lean to Dillon, but it's a really tough matchup for him. I go Dillon. It's close enough I wouldn't talk you out of either of them. I'm going to go Dillon since I have to pick one. Damn it. I hate it when I have to pick one because I'm not sure. Slightly into Dillon. They're very closely ranked, right in the same tier. Feel free to adjust your strategy accordingly. This is something, by the way, in case you don't come here often or this is your first visit or whatever, I'm telling you what I do. Like, I don't win every game. I follow everything very closely. I've been playing for 30 plus years. I'm dialed in. I talk about it a lot. I think about it a lot. But like, it's your team. If you have this gut instinct and I'm telling you to go against your gut feeling, your own belief, I mean, I think a lot of times when people are asking questions, they want just confirmation or not confirmation or just the, am I crazy? And in most cases, you're probably not crazy. But also, Monday morning, I'm not there. I mean, you can swear at me and that's fine, but I'm not going to be there to hear it. You're going to have to deal with it yourself. So if you have a hunch on any of these players, feel free, right? Like Patterson, I didn't like the usage last week. I don't like the matchup this week. Don't like the matchup, or I like the matchup better this week than I like is it Patterson? Yeah, I don't like Dillon's matchup, but I still want to play him. There we go. Graham F. Sorry, need to figure which 2 of 3 now that I'm sitting Juju. Bateman, Samuel, or Pierce. Well, Graham, it kind of depends on what you want. If you want a high floor, I'd go with Pierce right now, and I think it's a reasonable floor given last week's workload. I think I could expect him to continue getting that. I'm a little worried about Bateman. It's not a great matchup, and Lamar's arm is tender, although Lamar's backup is pretty good. And like if you need to swing for the fence, it's definitely Samuel, right? I mean, the guy has been super productive each of the last 2 weeks. Depends. Some of the touches have been there, and so have the touchdowns. Right, so I think Samuel would be the play for me, but I wouldn't talk. I think Pierce is probably the safer play. Patrick Guerra, running back Jeffrey Wilson, running back Patterson, running back Hunt, or running back Pollard. Standard playing Montgomery and Edwards-Helaire. I think I probably like them in the order you have them, and maybe Hunt closer to Patterson, Wilson a little farther out ahead. Deontay Johnson or Hollywood Brown? I'll play Hollywood Brown in this one. Michael Berry got a trade offer. Trade Debo and get Mark Andrews back, 10-team half-point PPR. I think there's enough tight ends out there in a 10-team league that I could get by. I mean, I don't think it's a bad trade. I just think there's enough tight ends out there you should be able to get by, and Debo is a pretty high-end product, especially now that we have Garoppolo back and we have maybe expect a repeat of last year's role, or we've already seen him running the ball a fair amount. I think that's I'd probably rather hold on to Debo, and I'm a huge Mark Andrews guy. And the whole thing is a 10-team league. I think you're going to be able to find a tight end out there. I don't know who your current tight end is. Yeah, I'm probably not doing that one. Should I trade Elliott for T. Higbee or Kyle Pitts? Ezekiel Elliott? I realize it hasn't been good, right? I still think you're overpaying for for Higbee, I mean, the targets have been great. The production has not been tremendous. I mean, that it's Higbee or Pitts. I mean, do you trust the talent of Pitts? I'd probably wouldn't mind having him. I'm probably standing pat. I'll be honest with you. I'm keeping Elliott and hoping his workload normalizes and the offense gets a little better. I'm hoping Kyle Pitts gets a lot better, but I don't know. I think Pitts is going to get better. London at some point is going to demand more attention, and defenses are going to have to shift the way they're defending Pitts, and it's going to work in his favor, and the talent will out, but it doesn't look good right now. Should I trade Michael Pittman and Miles Sanders for CeeDee Lamb, Dameon Pierce, and Breece Hall? Sure. I mean, Javier, it sounds like you want to. I mean, you're asking me because probably you want to. I don't know if it's just an offer that came in. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of making big trades like this early in the season because we don't know what anybody is, right? We're kind of waiting to see. I think CeeDee Lamb's going to be really good over the course of time. I think Michael Pittman's going to be pretty good. I think maybe by the end of the season, they're both wide receiver ones. I like what Miles Sanders is doing, though, an awful lot. I'd like to let that play out a little bit and see what I have in him. I think Dameon Pierce is going to be fine, but it's a horrible running offense. Breece Hall, I don't know. I think he's going to be better as the season progresses as well. So if you believe Dameon Pierce and Breece Hall are going to be true running back, lead backs for their team by the time the season's over, yes, then do this trade because I think CeeDee Lamb's a slight upgrade over Pittman. Should I drop Nyheim Hines for Higbee and for bench depth? I have Waller. Sure, if you want to. I mean, I think that's reasonable given these are two players at a similar level, right? I don't think you're going to be starting Nyheim Hines ever. You may well start Higbee at some point, but you're going to keep starting Waller. So just, if they're both depth players, I'd rather have Higbee right now. Half-point PPR, wide receiver to keep for bench. Great current bench is Curtis Samuel, Allen Robinson, or do I drop one for Amari Cooper or Elijah Moore? No, I'm standing pat there. Kate Dole, should I trade Josh Jacobs for J.K. Dobbins? I like Dobbins over the course of the season. I think he'll get on the field soon enough. I might well do this. Scott Kobe, in one of my leagues, Michael Thomas is on my waiver wire out of 100. How much would you bid? Probably quarter. Quarter of my budget. I wonder if you'll get him. Yes, Dame does have some interesting issues. Wait. It gets tough out there, people. It gets tough out there. Going ham, names, LOL. I have Carr and Fields at quarterback and Sutton. Okay. Trade Cortland Sutton for Joe Mixon PPR. I'm probably not doing that one, Andrea. Should I trade Patterson and A-Rob for Javonte? I think you're probably giving up too much, but I'd want Javonte. I would probably try to find something a little less. Like, we don't know if Patterson isn't going to be last year's Patterson when all is said and done, right? Javonte's going to keep splitting with Gordon, but I do like the direction it's going for Javonte. I'd want Javonte. I don't know if I want to give up both those players. I think A-Rob's going to be pretty good when all is said and done. When will Kyle Pitts justify your fourth-round pick? Maybe never, right? I think everybody's feeling that way at this point, right? Hopefully soon, right? I mean, so this is something if you're new to the live streams, you probably haven't heard this before. What you're not going to want to hear is, September is the new August, right? We don't see these teams playing a lot of players in August, so it takes some time for things to work out and get together. That's just how it is, right? Something we have to deal with. And so you have to decide, do I keep playing my studs? Who are my studs? How do I keep playing guys if I don't know they're my studs yet or not? I think in October, we start having a better idea. I think after this week, we start having a better idea. I feel like I start having the information I need to start making better decisions. In the meantime, you're flying a little blind. And so I think a lot of us just say, okay, I'm just going to be consistent and stick with the guys that I invested in and that I did the research in all year and hope that they come through. Well, hope is not the best strategy, people. So, don't be afraid to go away from a Kyle Pitts if you've got a Tyler Higbee producing right now, right? I mean, just, make the move. So, don't be afraid to bench guys. That's, I guess, the point. And it's scary. I get it. We have the FOMO, the fear of missing out. Don't want to miss out on that fantastic player that we invested in that we know is going to be great. You might miss a big game by playing other players, right? Like right now, if you're having if you're sitting there trying to decide every week between Terry McLaurin and Curtis Samuel, that's going to be a pretty hard decision right now. I'm probably going to lean Samuel right now until I see otherwise, right? And maybe I'm going to miss out on a big game from McLaurin because of it. All right, did a trade for St. Brown, giving up Mahomes and Darrell Henderson. I would do that. Art Vandelay, fine job. I think that's a winning proposal, right? I think so. St. Brown's a guy that maybe we just didn't have the confidence in being the guy he was last year, and not without good reason, because he was a phenomenal guy last year. And it's hard to imagine him duplicating that. And yet here he is duplicating that. I'm going to play that. And I think that's a reasonable job. Now, like giving up Mahomes is a ton, but you got Tua. And I think in relative value, it's not going to be that much different. Thoughts on handcuffing Javonte Williams and Swift? Is it worth it? We have a short bench now. It might be with Jamal Williams. It might be like, but depends on what your other needs are on your bench. If it's a really short bench, I'd be careful. But for, both of them have clear-cut handcuffs. So that makes it a little easier. And if you want to do just one, I'd probably do Swift. Need to sit what if Pittman plays? Pollard, Josh Jacobs, Hunt, Pittman, Jay Jefferson. Justin Jefferson? If I told you to sit Justin Jefferson, would you sit him? Mike? I mean, out of this group, I'd probably sit in Cooper. But, I mean, that's a big group. You need to narrow these things down for me a little bit, people. And seriously, I mean, if you ask me if I'm going to tell you to sit Justin Jefferson out of this group. PPR, start Hunter Renfrow versus Tennessee or Devontae Smith versus Washington. I'll start Devontae Smith because I don't think Hunter Renfrow is going to play, all right? I'm worried about Hunter Renfrow. And I'd probably play Devontae Smith anyway, but, I mean, Renfrow was targeted nicely. Tight end rest of the season, Everett Chargers, Logan Thomas, Washington. I like Everett a little bit, but I think Logan Thomas gets elite usage, and by the end of the season, it's going to be pretty damn close. My preference is Everett, but like I said, Thomas is going to be fine. If they both ended the season as, viable starters all season long, it would not surprise me. If Hunter Renfrow is out, do I go Adam Thielen, Sterling Shepard, or Russell Gage for him in a PPR? Boy, it's hard to argue against Sterling Shepard right now. I do like Adam Thielen in this matchup an awful lot, though, against Detroit as well. But Shepard is a clear-cut wide receiver one here. Right? The Giants are playing pretty good ball. I don't know. I'm trying to talk myself out of it. Trying to talk myself out of this one. It's against Dallas. It's a Monday night game. I'm probably playing Shepard there. Hey. Thank you very much, Patrick. I appreciate that. Yes, and so, if there's confusion on the questions, and, I read your last question, 10 minutes ago, I don't remember it, right? There's a lot of questions. So thank you for understanding that going ham. This is a Superflex question from earlier. I have Carr and Fields at quarterback, Sutton, Mike Williams, and Michael Thomas a wide receiver. At this point, would you play the wide receivers over the quarterback? Yeah, boy. I mean, yeah, if a quarterback's only making that many attempts, I would give it serious consideration. I probably would play any or all of those guys over Fields until I see him start passing more. Pat V, rest of the season. And that's a great question going ham. Pat V for the rest. I couldn't imagine a scenario, and all of a sudden I can. Pat V, rest of the season. How would you rank Wentz, Burrow, Tua? It's early this year, but would love your take on this. I think when the season's over, Burrow and Tua will be starting level plays, and Wentz will be right at the cusp of that, right? I think Wentz is going to have some – Wentz may end up having more duds over the course of the entire year than Burrow, who hopefully has all his out from under his belt. So I would say Burrow. I would go Burrow, Tua, and Wentz. And every time I say, Wentz is not going to be as good as anybody else, Wentz says, give me a second half to prove you wrong. He's got great weapons too. Still that order. Lane Thompson, half-point PPR. Would you trade Ertz and Pierce for Pitts? 2 players for Pitts? No. I think Ertz is a pretty solid play. Had 10 targets this past week, I want to say. I could be wrong. Could be 9. Maybe 8. It was 11. Let's see. Andrea, need 1. No, I wouldn't do that trade. Need 1. A.J. Dillon, James Robinson, James Palmer, flex PPR. I'm probably playing Boy, it's tough matchup. Tough matchup. I'm not playing Josh Palmer. It's one of those backs. I'm probably playing Dillon over Robinson. Let me just double check that. Oh, that's a tough call, Andrea. No wonder you're asking. I'm playing Dillon. Who could I get for Clyde and Brandon Cooks right now? This is a tough question. I just missed Mr. Scampers. Excuse me. Cousins versus Detroit, but Tua is still out there with a terrible matchup. Who would you rather play this week? I'd probably be fine playing Cousins if you don't have to add him, but I'd probably want to add Tua if I could. I'm fine playing Cousins this week, just given the matchup. And who would you drop? Either Gerald Everett or Dawson Knox. I'd probably drop Knox, who's hurt, by the way, this week. Who could I get for Clyde and Brandon Cooks? I don't know. That's kind of an open-ended question, Brew Hadley. I mean, who's in your league? If I'm in your league, you could get a pretty good running back, like a high-end running back 2 from me right now. And I think, Clyde Edwards-Helaire still like kind of a flex level play for me. Brandon Cooks is a wide receiver 2 for me, so I think that's reasonable. TJ Hawkinson or Pat Freiermuth this week? Probably going to play Hawkinson if I can, but he's a little nicked up. So if you had to make the decision tonight, I'm not against playing Freiermuth. I think he's like of all the pieces in Pittsburgh, he's the one that's kind of pleasing me the most. He's where we got him at after 2 weeks. And he's tight end 6, 12 fantasy points per game. I'd be fine playing Freiermuth this week until I see if Hawkinson's feeling better. Joe Flacco or Winston this week? Boy, I don't think we're going to get the same Joe Flacco every week. I mean, he's going to turn into Joe Flacco at some point. Winston. Carolina's defense is fairly tough. Cincinnati's defense can be fairly tough. I'm going to go ahead and play Winston this week. I just don't have a lot of trust, in Flacco. I think he's going to be fine. But over the course, I think Winston will be fine. I think Flacco, any given week they could, the Mike White chance could get to Robert Saleh, I feel like, right? I skipped your question. Well, I'm sorry, D. Severe. It's a lot of questions. Sometimes I miss them. So thank you for reposting it. Someone offered me a trade for CeeDee Lamb for A.J. Dillon. Should I accept? I think it's a fair trade. I think you're probably – so you're giving up CeeDee Lamb. I like Dillon a lot more than the world probably. I think if I'm trading CeeDee Lamb for A.J. Dillon, I'd ask for more. One quarterback for clarification. I'd rather play Cousins this week in a 1 QB league. Going ham. Thank you. I appreciate it. It's always fun sitting down with Sigmund Bloom. I give Connor Ayuk to get Akers and Kirk. All right. I'd do that. You're winning for sure on the receiver. And we'll see on the running back. I think, you're losing a little bit on the running back, maybe a lot of it. I have a lot of faith in Connor, but I'd probably still do this. Because I think, again, gut feeling. Akers coming on. Is Derek Carr with the bench stash? Yes. I don't know that I dropped Darnell Mooney yet, but I can't play him right now, so if that's the thing. And it seems like Keenan Allen is working on a limited basis, so I'm not so I'm feeling like he'll be back. It was a long layoff, so I think the main reason he didn't play in the last game was a short turnaround. You're welcome, Nick. Dominique Harris, 12-team PPR, Kirk and Mariota for Burrow. Yeah, Wentz. Wow, that's a tough call, man. I think quarterbacks are a pretty fungible commodity at this point. So, I wouldn't want to have to play Mariota. I can play Wentz. So, yeah, I want to get Christian Kirk. I guess I would do this. Not eagerly, but I would do it. Should I make the hero call and sit Aaron Jones in favor of either Amari Cooper, Stevenson, or Elijah Moore? That would be epic if it worked out, but I'm not sure I could do it. I'm not sure I could do it either. I'd have a hard time. I'm not, like Amari Cooper, it's been a mixed bag, right? And maybe they figured it out. Maybe they figured out his lane is the shorter passes and they'll go the longer stuff to Donovan Peoples-Jones and not Stevenson. Not Elijah Moore. Maybe Cooper, but I feel like I would be totally trying to outsmart myself. No, I'm not doing it. I get it. It's a tough matchup. The Buccaneers defense, very tough. Yeah, I'm not doing it. Cats are doing well, getting along better with the dog each and every passing year. Like in another 10 years, I think they'll be friends. No, he's offering me CeeDee Lamb. I have Dylan. I'm solid at running back. Sure, I'd do that one for sure, DV Severe. All right, everybody, I got a minute or two for if you have any more. If not, I'll go away. Before I go away, I'll tell you to go to footballdiehards.com. Check out what we have to offer there. The flash update is available to you. If you see what you like and you want to purchase it, use the promo code Diehards to get a 15% discount. You can catch me on SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio Monday, 10 to 1 a.m., Thursday, 10 to 1 a.m., Friday, 10 to midnight, Saturday, NFL Radio and the Fantasy Channel, both simulcast from 8 to 11 Eastern Time. Sunday, you'll hear me on SiriusXM Fantasy with Jeff Manns on the pregame show, hopefully without technical difficulties from 11 to 1. The dog already had a treat. It's had enough treats. Thank you, Dominic. Target the Baltimore secondary. Good call, Scampers. Good call. Bears backfield. I think David Montgomery looks like, so I think we should, we probably should have thrown out that week 1 just based on the conditions, etc. And I think week 2 is closer to what he's going to be, but I think it'll normalize a little bit somewhere slightly less than what we saw last week, but still pretty good. So yes, I do think it's kind of normalized. And Scampers always with the wisdom brings it hard. Yes, Baltimore secondary turns out not great. Thanks everybody. Appreciate your time, and check back Saturday afternoon, noon. Yes, I play in IDP leagues and I play poorly. Check back Saturday at noon for my Ask Me Anything. I'll be here for an hour on Saturday at noon Eastern Time. Saturday night, Jamie Calandro, Eric Romoff with the DFS lineup show. Ownership percentages will be discussed, and all kinds of stacks and such not, and all the kinds of stuff you want, fades, everything you need to know when you're setting your DFS lineup available. Also, if you want to go to Football Diehards, you want to go check out and see all the tools there, lineup optimizers, DFS ownership percentages, all available there. Plenty of columns, lots of DFS columns come from Jamie, myself. Gary Davenport will have a Shadow Nose column. Right now, you'll find Evan Tarciano's waiver wire picks. That's there every Tuesday. You need to check that out, people. It's good stuff when you're doing your stuff. I will see you Saturday at noon, or you can hear me on the radio. Talk to you later.